Okay, so hello everyone. We are here today again for another podcast. Today we'll be talking about guide dogs and information on how to get a guide dog and who can apply for a guide dog. Today with us we have Christina, who's our guide dogs mobility instructor. Christina, can you say a little bit? Can you give a short self introduction?
Okay, hello, I'm Christina. So today talking with Cheryl, hoping to help you understand a bit more about guide dogs in terms of application or any questions that you all have regarding application of guide dogs and using them.
Okay, Christina, first of all, right, you're a guide dogs mobility instructor. Can you explain a little bit more about what exactly you do?
Okay, so basically what I do is training the dogs to have the skills to guide the vision impaired, and at the same time training the clients who have applied to use the guide dogs with the guide dogs they are matched with. So I'll be training the dogs first, then I'll be training the vision impaired person to use their guide dogs.
Okay, nice. So let's say I'm a person with vision impairment and I've heard about guide dogs before and I'm thinking about getting a guide dog. What are some steps I need to take to actually start applying or to consider getting one?
Okay, we understand that a lot of times people hear about using guide dogs, but they have no clear understanding of what it involves and what it means. So, what in GDS we will do in Guide Dog Singapore, what we will do is you can make an inquiry that you are interested, and I will actually arrange for an information session and come down and really walk you through the whole process of what it means to have a guide dog, which means the advantages, the disadvantages, the pros and cons, your lifestyle, how it will affect whether is it suitable or not. And in this information session is really just helping you to have a better understanding of what guide dogs mobility really means and whether is it suitable for you. So after this information session, I do not require you to actually give an immediate answer, but to bring this information back to think through it and at the same time talk to your family members about it so that you have a when you finally do decide to get a dog or not, it is an informed choice. Okay, so that's the beginning. And if after thinking through and you decide that this is something that I really want to do, then you can actually call us back again and I will arrange a guide dogs assessment session.
Okay.
So during the, yeah.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like first of all, there's a lot of information that you need to know about a guide dog first to see whether is it suitable for you. So
Yes.
what are some basic things that would determine whether a guide dog is suitable for someone with vision impairment? For example, like I've just been newly diagnosed with vision
Mm.
impairment and I know nothing, but I know that a dog is quite cool. What sort of advice will you then give me?
Okay, if that's the case, I would advise that you actually get a bit of O&M skills, your orientation and mobility skills first, because a lot of times people just want to jump straight into guide dogs, but using a guide dog is more than just the dog bringing you around. You need to have a basic skill set of what to do, of knowing your environment as well. So I would advise that you actually contact an O&M instructor, our orientation mobility instructor or specialist, to actually teach you how to improve your O&M skills first before moving on to using a guide dog.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
Yeah, so actually like before I started working with Guide Dog Singapore also, right, I knew really, really little about these guide dogs. Like I didn't even know like there has to be like a certain type of dog. Or I thought like any dog can be a guide dog because like you see working dogs out there and they
Mm.
are like German shepherds, they are like mixed breeds sometimes. There's
Mm.
all sorts of dogs working as working dogs. But
Mm.
what makes a guide dog so special?
Well, I guess typically, okay, everyone usually sees a Labrador, or some countries they do use German Shepherds as
Mm-hmm.
guides. However, the majority you see is Labradors, lah,
Mm-hmm.
because of their temperament, the suitability of their temperament. So, in fact, the reality is in other countries, they do have um, how to say, they do use other breeds of dogs for guiding purposes. However, the key is always in terms of the temperament wise. Are they suitable? We're looking at, when we select guide dogs, it's always a matter of temperament. So that's why Labradors are usually chosen because of their high willingness, and at the same time the trainability, and at the same time also a lot of guide dog schools they use Labradors or Retrievers, and these are all bred from working lines that have been bred specifically for their temperament traits. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so it sounds
Mm.
like it's very, very specialized area of breeding and training lah. Not any dog can
Mm.
become a guide dog, right? Like now I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's very interesting. So, basically, a guide dog helps guide a person with vision impairment. But
Mm.
I understand that you also train the clients on how to use these dogs. Actually, if a guide dog is so like is bred to do this already, um, why does a person need to go through training, or how much training does a person need to go through in order to use this dog? Because it just sounds quite straightforward, lah.
Okay, so what happens is the dogs are trained in basic skills of guiding, which is straight line travel, where dog learns to find the straight line and also to recognize the direction of left and right.
Mm-hmm.
And also the other thing is to stop at curbs, stop at road crossings to indicate that this is the end of the pavement and I need to stop for the handler to assess traffic. So, and also the other skill set is in terms of obstacle avoidance, bring the handler around obstacles, be it moving people or objects. So these are the skills that the dogs are taught. However, the handler, which is the vision impaired person, would need to know where he or she is going.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you are stepping out of your home to go from, let's say, to the market, so you need to have a mental picture, mental mind map of what direction am I taking, where do I have to go, and then give the dog the direction in terms of straight line,
Mm.
or is it left, you need to turn left at this juncture, or right, or if how many roads are you crossing so that you are aware how many traffic lights have you approached already, and
Mm.
so therefore you know where you are heading. So
Yeah.
yeah, so these are the skill sets that we are looking at when it talks about handler, the vision impaired person needing to know your orientation and
Mm.
mobility skills. Yeah, because some
Okay.
people think that you program into a dog A to B and then dog can do that. It doesn't work
Yeah.
that way.
Like someone once told me before, like if you ask the dog to just go, he'll just bring you to McDonald's because it smells very nice there. Yeah, so cool. It sounds like there's a few steps. First of all, like you need to call the Guide Dog Singapore, and then they will then
Mm,
advise you whether you need to learn some basic orientation and mobility first or not before you then move on to a guide dog if you do
yes,
decide. Okay,
yes.
so in terms, let's say I do have the orientation and mobility skills, right? And I've been using a cane for the longest time, and I
Mm,
do have certain routes already. Then
yep.
how do I then know whether a guide dog is suitable for me or not?
Mm, I guess whether also the other thing is, are you ready to take up this responsibility of having a guide dog?
Mm,
Because if um, how do you say, if you are committed to take up a guide dog, it also means that you need to think about the daily care of the dog as well.
mhm,
So it's not like a white cane where if you're home and not using it, you just fold it away and tuck it one side. But it's a living animal that you need to take care of in terms of its daily
mm,
needs, daily maintenance, But of course, on the other hand, you get the benefit of a companion and another living being to accompany you in all situations. So these are some things that you might want to think about. And in terms of, how do you say, in terms of lifestyle wise, whether your general lifestyle, is it suitable for a guide dog? Being, are you, is your, how do you say, like in terms of your daily living,
Uh-huh.
you there it's preferable that there is a certain routine to it
Okay.
rather than I know some people would rather stay at home. I don't feel like going out, then I just stay at home
Oh,
and do nothing. And if I feel like going out, then I step out. But the thing is, with a guide dog, the guide dog is trained to work, and their work is to guide.
yes.
So if you're not regularly using a guide dog, it actually defeats the purpose of having a guide dog with you.
Mm. So
Yeah.
I guess that's where the guide dog assessment comes in to see whether the
Yes.
client's daily lifestyle, personal lifestyle is also
Mm.
suitable for a dog lah.
Yes, that's
Mm.
right.
But okay, like let's say I've been traveling like successfully already. I can go to I have a busy but a standard work life. Let's say I go to office
Uh-huh.
every day, I go for
Yeah.
lunch, and then I come back
Mm.
from work,
Yes.
and I do
Yes.
that every day. Every Sunday, I go to the park. There's enough workload
Mm.
for the dog.
Mm.
If I'm doing this every week already, why would I then consider a guide dog?
I guess it's okay. Then I guess it's really depending on the individual, really,
Mm-hmm.
because, for example, using a long cane
Mm-hmm.
versus using a guide dog, there is a bit of a difference. You will find, because using a long cane, you basically use it to detect all the obstacles that you are coming into contact with,
Uh-huh.
and then moving around them, or finding your way from point A to B. You will have to navigate yourself in terms of certain well, audio cues, by
Mm.
audio cues or by tactile cues, depending
Yep.
on your cane and things like that. So the difference in terms of using a dog over a cane is that when you use a dog, the dog actually brings you around the obstacles without having you to detect the obstacles.
Ah.
And in terms of like certain points of turning, for example, coming to, say, um, a particular, like for example, some of our guide dog handlers would actually habituate the dog to bring them to the handicap gantry
Mm.
at the
At
MRT
the
station.
okay. Yep.
Yeah, correct. So if you are using a white cane, you will need to find your way there or ask someone or detect certain tactile cues to get there.
Yeah.
Whereas with a guide, on the other hand, they can be trained to actually target the standard gantry point and bring
Right.
you straight up there. So it actually cuts down a lot on the traveling time because of that. Because then you don't have to think about, oh, what obstacle is this? Is it because someone placed something there, or is it a pillar? And then try to navigate yourself around it. So that's the difference lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like
Mm.
I'm thinking about like when I teach like my clients who use white cane how to target like the gantry. Because sometimes the gantries that are allows you to go through, they are on the left or sometimes they are on the right, and then the one that are
Yes.
closed out. Basically they switch
Mm.
sides lah. And then it's so hard to target because how much left do you need to go or how much right do you need to go? So you always have to hit something to know you've reached a certain location before you then problem solve from that location that you hit,
Yes.
right? And no matter
Yes.
how much sound cues can help, they will never bring you to just that one particular, the wider
Yes.
handicap gantry. Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, wow, so it just sounds like with a guide dog, basically you just targeting to a
Yeah.
location that you want to go
Correct.
to is so much more straightforward than
Yeah.
going round and round with the cane lah.
Yeah, like I guess the other thing, like, or rather the other example that one of our handlers ever said to me was that for escalators and escalators mainly. So when she was using a long cane, sometimes she could hear where the escalators and travelators are, but using the long cane, it takes her quite a while to actually figure out where exactly
Yes,
the
because of the
travelator.
echo. Basically,
Yes,
the sound
correct.
sounds like it's coming from everywhere.
Correct. And then you might have an idea that it's in front of you, but then because you need to avoid people and
Yes.
avoid human traffic, you veer off somewhere and then you can't find it. So with a guide dog, the difference for her was that she can tell her guide dog, find the escalator or find the travelator, and
Ah,
the dogs can navigate around the obstacles and bring her straight up to
ah.
the escalators with
Okay.
minimum time.
Now that you mention it, right, I just realized that
Mm.
human traffic is also obstacles, and the white king will hit into every human on the road that you will encounter,
Yes,
but the dog will avoid the humans. So I guess
yes.
for clients who really dislike getting their canes trampled on by other pedestrians, or they really feel a bit paiseh, or they feel bad about using the cane to hit other people's legs, perhaps they can consider a guide dog to avoid all the obstacles lah.
Yeah, that is also that is one of the factors where some of our vision impaired handlers would consider
Yeah.
when using a guide dog. Yes.
Okay, just now something else you mentioned. I have that the person considering the guide dog has to consider like whether they can take on the responsibility of owning a dog or like taking care of this dog. Um,
Yes.
can't family members help out?
It's not recommended because the thing is, as much as you are using the dog, it's not just merely an object. As I say, it's not an object like a white cane where you pick up when you want it and you put it one side when you don't
Mm,
want it. So a lot of times, the one of the key factors that a guide dog team can progress well and work well together is based on the relationship
mm,
the team builds with each other. So between the handler and the dog. So the better the bond is, it actually increases the willingness of the dog to work for the client and for the handler basically. And at the same time, um, you it's because it's a team effort. The dog learns to read the handler's cues
mm-hmm,
and certain habits, and at the same time, handler also learns to read the dog's body language and the feel of how it walks, what it means when the dog actually presents certain behavior. So
mm,
all these bonds are built not merely by just working the dog. It all involves that relationship where you care for the dog, and all that boils down to a bonding process. And
ah,
therefore, we always recommend a handler be the one that cares for the dog on a daily basis.
the main caregiver sort of lah.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's cool. Okay,
Mm,
yeah, so it sounds like this person not only has to have built up orientation and mobility skills, but they've also
mm,
have to have some sort of a level of independent living skills also lah. They have to be able to take care of
yes,
themselves in order to take
yes,
care of this companion of theirs that they are considering lah.
yes, that's right.
Hmm, cool.
Mm,
Okay, lastly, does it
mm-hmm,
cost a lot if I want to get a guide dog? Let's say I stay in a flat. Not I stay
mm,
in a flat, but let's say I'm not um I cannot afford a dog, and I cannot afford the lifestyle of having a very expensive dog with all the medical bills and like the training, and I'm
mm,
pretty sure this dog costs a lot as well.
mm.
Um, do I then why can I still consider using a guide dog?
Well, with Kaido Singapore, what we do is actually in terms of the providence of the dog itself, the training, in fact, the training of the dog and the training of the handler, it's it's not charged to the vision impaired person. So your application wise, it's actually you don't have to pay anything for the application or for the procurement for the matching of the dog. However, your responsibility is more of the daily care in that sense. So mainly the food, providence of food for the dog itself, and probably toys and um,
Okay.
the yeah. But in terms of vet wise, vet fees, the regular checkups are actually subsidized by Guide Dog Singapore. So in that sense, it's in a way discounted, And
Okay.
if there are instances whereby a bit like maybe accident or injury, part of the medical care in terms of the treatments and so on is actually also possible to be discounted from Guide Dog Singapore. So we do have a providence
Mm.
given to guide dog handlers in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds
Mm.
like the only thing I need to consider for in terms of paying for this dog is monthly food, some toys
Yes.
to get started with, maybe a bed for the
Yes.
dog,
Mm.
and medical fees will be subsidized, so that's good. And training is of no cost.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
So in
cool.
terms of equipment wise is also provided by Guide Dog Singapore. So you do not need to pay for the equipment needed to
Okay,
use your
nice.
dog. Ah, Mm.
Okay, but let's say I stay in a HDB flat and I know that big dogs are not allowed in HDB flat. Do I still
Mhm.
meet the requirements for owning a guide dog?
Okay, yes, you do because under Singapore law, under HDB, guide dogs are how is it different. The licensing for guide dogs is separate from the pet dogs.
Oh, okay.
So we have allowance from HDB to allow guide dogs, certified guide dogs and teams to have their dogs in the HDB flats.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Mm.
cool. Just to end it off, can you just tell me a little bit more about the legislation in Singapore regarding guide dogs? Can they go into public places? Uh,
Mhm.
things like
Yeah.
that?
Okay, so according to Singapore law and legislations, our guide dogs, working guide dog certified teams are allowed in all public areas. So, which means your public transport, trains, buses, and also shopping malls. I think you will notice a lot of our shopping malls actually do have the guide dog friendly sign,
Mm-hmm.
and all the public areas are actually guide dog, or rather, guide dogs are allowed into all public areas. And in terms of the food and beverage areas, restaurants and all that, legislatively, they are all allowed into F&B premises. So if you look up the Singapore law wise, even for F&B restaurants and food courts and all that, guide dogs are exempted from all laws that says animals are not allowed in.
Cool. Nice.
Mm.
Okay, it sounds like with all the information that you've given me, right? It sounds like that
Mm.
the person who is going to get the guide dog needs to think it through and make this decision after a thorough consideration lah. And it cannot be like something that other people pressure them to go through, or like family members pressure them to go through, because it sounds like there's a lot of things that the person needs to do on their part.
Yes, they have to be ready to take up that
Mm.
responsibility in that sense. Yeah.
And to go through training, it will take about a month or so, right?
Yes, that's right. Usually about 3 weeks. Yep.
Mm. Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, sounds like there's a lot of things to consider. All right. Nice. Okay. So just basically, in summary, it sounds like what the person can do first is just contact Guide Dog Singapore to get in
Mm.
contact with either orientation and mobility specialist or the Guide Dogs Mobility Instructor.
Yes.
Whatever it is,
Mhm.
we'll call Guide
Right.
Dog Singapore and they'll probably direct you to the correct person.
Yes, that's
Uh,
right. And I
yeah.
guess to add on a bit, I think sometimes when we give you all this information, it might seem very
Mm.
overwhelming. But I think ultimately it's don't think of it as, oh, it's going to be a big challenge. I cannot make it. I cannot do it. But sometimes it's good to just call us up, and for me, I will go down and talk to you about it. So some of these questions and concerns and your lifestyle, because it's very specific to individual,
Mm.
and as much as I can say all these things on a generic basis, but it may or may not apply immediately to you in terms
Mm.
of your living habits and things like that. So it's always good to have that information session. And as I said, it's not how is it? There's no obligations in terms of coming into the information session and
Mm.
hearing about it. It's
Just to
more
know
of
more lah.
having,
Mm.
yes, just to know more, and so that you make an informed choice whether this is really for you or not.
Mm.
So there are people who come in and think that with the apprehension of maybe not, but then after that they may think that, hey, actually it's a good choice for me. Or on the other hand, people might come in with the, oh, I would love to have it, but after that they'll go back and think and say, maybe not now. It's not the right time.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it just sounds like you never know until you get all the information. So that's
That's right.
good. All right. Any final words, Christina?
Final words are.
I mean, final
Uh,
comments.
I think uh, it'll be good to see more people. Um, I mean, even if not exactly taking up a guide dog, but to have a better understanding of this other option of using a dog as a mobility aid
Mm,
rather as compared to a white cane. So this is another avenue that our vision impaired people can think about and consider whether they want to take it up or not. So hopefully that the awareness will grow, and as it's been shared out, um, they would want to explore a bit more. Yeah.
mm. Okay.
Mm.
Maybe a final message to those people out there who are not considering getting the guide dog, but they
Mm.
are members of the public who see guide dogs around. What should they do? How can they help?
Uh, okay. Again, repeat the question again.
Members of the public, if they see a
Yeah.
guide dog, how can they help? Yeah, basically.
Okay, so if you do see someone with a guide dog, and what you can do is always approach the handler first rather than approach the dog, because the dog is working, and if you distract the dog, it can cause potential dangers to the handler
Mm,
in terms of the dog might miss a step or fail to avoid an obstacle. So always approach the handler first and ask the handler whether do they need help in any way.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always
Mm.
like to tell people that always greet the person first because they understand you. The dog will
Yes.
probably not reply you. Yeah, so cool. All right. We'll probably do a part two on guide dogs because
Mm.
there's just so much more we want to know about. I think we will do a more in-depth session to ask more questions about guide dogs. But thank you, Christina, for joining us today.
No
Um,
problem.
if anyone else listening to the podcast has any other questions or any comments, leave it down in the comment section down below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and then we'll just see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.